Lay down and relax. I shall read to you. Oh, you weren't meant to find this part of history. This is where the faded ink bleeds through the pages, where castles remember their dead, where bells still ring for no one, where roads move when no one walks them. You think you're here to listen to stories, but the stories have been waiting for you. Come closer. The clock that ticked in reverse rooms. In a merchant's mansion in Genoa, there existed a clock so old no craftsman could identify its maker. The strange part was not that it ticked backward, but that it only did so when viewed from certain rooms. A visitor could hear normal ticking in the hall, but enter the dining chamber and feel time ease itself in the opposite direction. Candle flames thinned strangely. Conversations seemed to reverse inside one's mouth. Guests who remained too long in the rear library swore they felt emotions before remembering experiencing them. Eventually, the master of the house locked the doors permanently. Years later, explorers found the building abandoned, but the clock remained, still ticking, still choosing which rooms remembered tomorrow. The tower that slept standing. Outside, York stood a stone tower that never crumbled, never leaned, and never opened its door. The villagers called it the Sleeper. Birds refused to nest within its shadow. Spiders wove no web against it. Snow avoided its roof. Occasionally, during heavy storms, witnesses claimed the tower exhaled mist from unseen windows. When miners attempted to dig beneath it, their tools grew warm. Then, too hot to hold. They abandoned the project after one man swore the stone had shifted beneath his feet. I flew above it once. The tower was not hollow. It was holding something, and it resented being watched. Before you drift too far into dreams, little human, a small favor from an old dragon. If you've enjoyed resting here beneath my wings, consider subscribing to my horde of stories. Each new believer helps me gather more treasures and avoid ravaging cities for loot when I'm low on funds. I'm retired now, and my back makes sounds that haunt even me. Now, back to the story. The road that relocated itself. In Burgundy, there existed a road that refused to stay where it had been built. Farmers would wake and find it bending across wheat fields or threading unexpectedly through orchards. Priests tried to bless it into place. Surveyors tried to map it. By nightfall it had already moved again. Travelers who followed it too long vanished one by one. One man returned 10 years later speaking, a dialect no one recognized, and wearing boots stitched with gold thread. He claimed he had only walked the road for an afternoon. Then he collapsed. A tree now grows where the road last appeared. The roots still smell of leather and distance. The abbey that took a vow of silence too far. A monastery in Catalonia was founded by brothers who believed silence purified the soul. They did not speak. They did not write. They did not cough, whistle, or hum. Even the bells were removed. Soon, travelers claimed the abbey itself had become quiet in unnatural ways. Echoes failed to return. Wind entered and never sighed. Then people noticed something worse. The monks had stopped aging. Centuries passed. Kings died. Empires fell. The abbey remained unchanged. Explorers finally forced their way inside. The monks knelt exactly where they'd first knelt, unmoved, unrotted, unbreathing, and yet warm. The candle maker who sold midnight. In Rouen, a peculiar candle maker offered only one product. Candles that burned not with flame, but with hour. Those who bought them swore time slowed where the wax melted. Conversations drew. Long. Evening stretched. Youth hovered dangerously close. One noble purchased 6. He never aged another day. His household did. His servants turned grey and bowed to a man who never wrinkled. When authorities seized the shop, they found it empty but warm, as though business had only paused. The street where it stood remains brightly lit each night, with no lamps at all. The wheat that grew backwards. In Flanders, a harvest once sprouted fully grown from soil overnight, then shrank daily until it was seed again. Farmers swore they watched stalks crawl into the earth. The grain was edible. Too edible. Those who ate it dreamed of youth. Some woke with it. Wrinkles went shallow. Scars faded. Then bones softened. Several disappeared entirely at harvest's end, leaving only clothes. The field has not sprouted since, but underground. Something continues growing. The boy who couldn't cast a shadow. In a seaside village in Sicily lived a boy whose shadow never followed him. He walked in daylight, untouched by silhouette. At noon, where others cast darkness beneath themselves, the boy remained untouched by the sun. Animals feared him, not violently, avoidantly. He grew without reflection, too. Water did not recall his face. When he turned 13, the villagers woke to find he had vanished. Only his shadow remained, dragging itself along the streets, living alone. The map that redrew countries. A monk cartographer in Avignon created a map that refused to remain truthful. Borders crept nightly, rivers reversed themselves, cities folded in and out of existence like bad memories. Pilgrims claimed nations changed after being discussed in its presence. A duke consulted it and invaded a country that had not existed the month before. Years later, scholars noticed the map was still updating, but not reflecting the world, correcting it. The cathedral with no altar. In southern France stood a cathedral built upside down beneath the earth, discovered by collapse. Rather than prayer, descending into its stone throat revealed arches inverted, crosses buried. Beneath floors and pews carved into ceilings, there was no altar, only a hollow, and it thrummed like a throat before song. I flew into it once. The deeper I went, the more it remembered me. The ring that shrunk fingers. A count in Germany owned a ring that had never once been removed. At night it tightened. In the morning it fit. Then tighter again. First flesh yielded, then bone shifted, then thought bent around it. His hand grew smaller. So did his reasoning. Eventually, the ring collapsed inward like a thought consuming itself. They scraped it off. The finger beneath was gone. The man survived only long enough to ask where his world had shrunk to. The ring now rests in a vault too small for hands, and too large for forgiveness. The gate that opened only once. In Prague stood a gate sealed since its carving. No lock, no hinge, no explanation. One night, beneath lightning that split rooftops, the gate opened. Inward. One man stepped inside. The gate closed. It is still warm. No sound has ever come from beyond. no return. I once pressed my claw against it. The wood pressed back. And now, little human, the night has wrapped itself gently around you, like old parchment, and quiet. Wings, you have wandered through echoes and whispers, through stone and shadow, through stories that once belonged to forgotten centuries, and now belong only to the hush of this hour. Let the weight of ancient names and distant worlds fall softly from your thoughts, like dust shaken loose from a long-closed book. You have carried enough wonder for one evening. Let your breath slow until it matches the rhythm of a resting world. Let your shoulders sink as if the earth itself is drawing you closer in kindness. Nothing hunts you here. Nothing waits to be solved. No, doors will open unless you invite them. The past may keep its secrets, and you may keep your peace. I will remain here, curled close to your dreams, guarding their fragile brightness as fiercely as any treasure I have hoarded in my long and firelit life. No shadow will cross you without my noticing. No, worry will linger without being gently folded away. Close your eyes now, little one. Let sleep claim you softly, as it always does to those who listen well. Breathe, and allow yourself to drift off into draconic dreams. Good night, humans.